I've been foil obsessed lately. I just can't get enough of that shiny goodness. And after trying it a few different ways in the past few weeks, I thought to myself, what else can I do? And the first thing that came to mind was gel printing. And to be honest, not all the experiments worked, but I learned so much. And I'll even create a foil-inspired art journal page with the prints. Let's just say you will probably never look at foil the same way again. Now let's get started. First, I wanted to try just by gel printing on the actual foil sheet. But printing on a full sheet would not make sense because you wouldn't see the paint. That's why I saved my used foil sheets from my last video, as they had amazing shapes and markings. I rolled some acrylic paint onto my gel plate and pressed the two different sheets onto the paint. You can see the blue color through the design where the foil is missing. So it looks like there's two textures, the foil and the paint behind it. I print with one more color to add some more tones to the background. If you notice, the foil doesn't stick to the plate because I lift the sheet right away. However, once the leftover paint dries a little and feels tacky, I place a full piece of foil and rub it across the plate. The foil actually transfers to the tacky areas. Then I roll some yellow paint and place my paper on top. When I lift, the foil transfers onto my print beautifully. My only mistake is not having enough tacky paint in the background, as some of it dried too much and the foil didn't stick. But I know it works, so that gives me the motivation to do it even better. I roll paint on my plate again and I place my petal stencil on top. I press a paper through the openings of the stencil to remove the paint and then lift the stencil. I'm left with a negative image, which I let dry a bit until it's tacky. Then I place a rainbow foil sheet on top of the plate and pull. Wow! The foil transfers to the plate with a stencil design. Yes, not everywhere, as probably some of the paint dried too much. So I roll white acrylic paint onto the plate, pull the print, and it transfers perfectly. But no rainbow. Ugh, it's backwards, of course. In gel printing, we're always working with the mirror image. So of course the silver part comes on top. It's still beautiful though, but I want the rainbow. So I roll the paint again and I try to apply the foil the opposite way, with the rainbow facing down, but it doesn't work, as the foil only transfers one way, of course. But that gives me another idea. So while the paint is getting tacky on the plate, I press a new sheet of foil onto it and pull. It creates random crackles on the plate. So I move the foil around until it attaches to all the leftover tacky paint on the plate. Now here's where I get creative because I want those rainbow colors. I take deli paper, which is semi-translucent, and place it on my plate. When I lift, I get to see all the colorful crackles through the paper. I even create one more sheet with the leftover foil with blue paint on a deli paper, as I love it so much. Now the moment you've been waiting for. I start cutting and ripping pieces of the foil and deli paper and using gel medium, collage them into my art journal. I am aiming to cover the whole background, and you will see why in a moment. I find this process so freeing because it reminds me of how much I used to love to cut and paste when I was a child. Since I'm gluing the pieces randomly, I don't have to think, and my mind relaxes and goes blank, almost like a meditation. And that relaxes my whole body. Once the background is dry, I draw some circles with black India ink. I had forgotten this ink in my stash, and it's absolutely amazing, as it gives you the best coverage. I dry the circles and start painting around them with white acrylic paint to mask the background so the colorful designs inside the circles stand out. Then I realize I should draw stems before covering it all in white. So I grab a black acrylic marker and draw the stems. Then I finish painting the white around the flowers. I add some leaves to the stems. I also use a white acrylic marker to add some doodling, but as I'm looking at the page, it looks so pale, as if it's missing color. So I decide to paint some blue at the top. And the reason why I covered the whole page with the collage pieces originally, even though most of it gets covered, is because I wasn't sure where the circles would end up. And I want to make sure that they are all different and colorful, especially with the distressed looking foil. Now the inside of the circles really stand out. And I even add some foil marks to the edges of my art journal by scratching it with my nails. It is one of my favorite finishing touches, along with splatters and journaling around the flowers. Until I worked with foil, I never realized how versatile it is and how often I would use it. Like in these videos right here, where I create different styled projects with more unique foiling techniques.